Much indeed. We are going to be ready now to throw into our first game of the night. It's going to be the first time that I get to cast with you as well, Jacob. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, let's see what we get given here. We got a good one to ease us in, I believe. A nice little Liquid versus Santos on coastline, no less. So plenty of gun skill, plenty of explosive engagements. That's kind of really what I'm expecting.
Looking for the Sexy Cake and Palu duo to amp back up in the same way that it did at SI. Ultimately, the unfortunate part about it is trying to pay attention to every single region in Rainbow Six is rather difficult. So looking towards Team Liquid, especially in this case, I definitely don't want to be the guy to say I haven't watched a lot of it, but I still have a lot of expectations from how SI went down, that hopefully that kind of stuff does carry over to the way that the Brazil division will transpire for at least the first day. Lion, Nomad, Mira, Valkyrie, all gone. Very, very standard fare for a map like Coastline. It's also nice to kind of get eased into Coastline as well. A map that a lot of people have been disputing whether it still has a place in the competitive pool. There's very good reasons for thinking that a map like this shouldn't fit within several different regions. North America and Europe both say, nah, we really don't like this. But it seems, at the very least, in the case of Brazil, they seem to like it quite a lot.
It's just a fun map, isn't it? It's a map that you can throw in. You can not quite throw the strap book out the window, but you can certainly close it for a couple of rounds, and you don't need to dig too deep into the dusty pages. You can really just relax into what you're going to expect, and that is going to be, nice site executes. And I think of Coastline, and I think, one of the reasons why a team like Liquid is so successful on this map is because their site execute and their ability to get the plant down is extremely good. That's something that you're really going to start to look toward and see if you can start to try and pressure. Santos, they've got to try and prove that to us. So many opportunities to get a plant down here on this map. For all that we say that it can be an aggressive gunfight affair, it very regularly does come down to that plant going down, or at least a lot of denial being used in the process. Now, Santos, they're going to be starting off on the attack here. Going to take us down to double bar. Blue and Sunrise. They arguably get the easier side of things here.
One thing just from parsing over stats that I also wanted to touch on too, if you're looking for someone to root for as like the ultimate underdog story, if you're rooting for Santos, might as well take a look at Destiny. Somebody who is a Zof Jaeger player who is within the bottom 10 of BR6 overall for Stage 2, which is only a little bit problematic due to the fact that he's trying to play on that entry role, but from a statistical point of view has met with very little success over the past couple of weeks. He's only 7-12 on the entry, so somebody who I definitely think deserves a little bit of focus, but he also will be backed up in this case by a Yana player, so two operators will be able to do that. And just like I say, as soon as I mention Destiny's name already, he's out of the fray. Moringa and Nesk finding 1 kill apiece. Moringa, the action's hot and heavy already with 1 smoke kill back through mud. Santos trying to force the issue and push right onto the bar, but Diffuser's already been down inside Sunrise. Santos on a quick push. Doesn't seem like it worked out at all in Liquid. Still 4 players alive to Santos's 2.
You got to get it up a little bit earlier than that to catch Liquid out, I think, especially we got Moringa playing on the smoke in such a prime position, ready to strike. The Diffuser, it'd be fantastic if it was planted, but it isn't. It is going to be cold on the ground, and that's going to make things very difficult from here on out. 2 versus 4. Rise will find himself a kill. Rise has been forced off the Nomad. With the Nomad ban, he's been allowed Ash, which seems like a great upgrade, honestly. I think that that's a worthwhile trade for him, and we'll see if it sticks through the rest of this game. Now, there's an eternity of time left here. And Santos could try and set themselves up. We can already see plenty of information being gathered. At the moment, they're just trying to wait and see if anybody on the side of Liquid is going to peek, but Liquid know a little bit better than that. They've set themselves up with a nice little crossfire. They've got still a player upstairs who no doubt has a nice vertical angle down. Hunter still on that fact-finding mission. Still a minute, so plenty of time for Santos here to try and make something happen, but they really haven't got an account of where everybody's playing on the side of Liquid.
Just kind of giving their dead players for the moment a couple of drones to watch on the flank and kind of give a call or two, but Vigil still proving to be a problem. Drones are getting nullified now as Palu doesn't reveal his position, but at the very least the Sludge is going to go hunting and doesn't know that there's a player right inside, right back behind the bar. Here come the shots. That's an easy down for Palu. Doesn't have any idea about it, though. Doesn't have points on, so Rise will try to come back and see if he can't recover Hunter in the process. But I'm going to try to come in and end this round quickly. Only one kill will be enough to finish the whole thing off. Downs the Yash, but no, Sledge actually has been recovered in the interim. So Palu whips up the SMG-12. Can he make quick work of it? Yes, he can. 2 kills in security. All of that drone work from Santos, not enough to stop Team Liquid from closing that one out very effectively.
There's not a lot you can do there, really, as Santos. You're going into the 2 versus 4. It's always going to be a tough ask. But the rush, nearly paying off. Can we say nearly? It was close. It happened. It was there. The plan was being attempted.
The closest we got was a 3v2. I would say maybe it was like a better success if they still had diffuser control, because then maybe we could say there's an avenue that they can make back to the bomb site. They can go from security and maybe push in, but not. It's a matter of getting the diffuser back in their control and having to kill 3 players of Team Liquid. Said, nah, I don't think that one was close at all.
See, I wanted to give it him just because they were trying to get the plan down. I can't remember how close the plan was to coming down, but if it, I mean, even still, if it had gone down, it would have been a bit of a tough ask to try and keep hold of that.
True.
We are going to see Liquid move sites now, of course, due to the fact that they won downstairs. They can take us up to Hooker and Billiards. Now, this is a site where we've regularly spoken about the use of hard breach on Coastline, and is it necessary, is it not? I think this is one of the sites where it is really nice to have a little bit of hard breach, because you are able to open up that wall that leads into the back of sofas and drinks, and you can have some really nice angles from luggage, from the roof, especially with the Hibana, can be very effective. So I hope that that's what Cons has in mind. There's plenty of site setup going ahead on the side of Liquid as we're hearing those SAS shotguns just ringing out.
I don't know if it's the same nickname that carries over to Brazil, but I think NA is colloquially called Coastline the Death Donut, or Donut of Death, whichever version of it you prefer.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a roamer's paradise, and it's just a massive 4-pointed square hollowed out in the middle, and there's so many different avenues that you have to watch with 2 different floors. So I like the idea of Team Liquid making a really big extension off the bomb site here in this case, and Santos, for their own part, are going to have to rearrange the maze, so to speak, that Team Liquid have already constructed. Even if it's only with a couple of barricades, it's still going to reveal positions of the members of Santos as they make their push back inside in the building. Looking for all of these roamers, and Nesk has decided he will go as far away from the bomb site as he can. And it seems as though the rest of the members of Liquid are at least going to stick close, but Santos, look at where they're positioned. They seem like they're trying to swarm or come from as many different approaches as possible while they clear these roamers out.
Nesk is kind of giving the game away a little bit there, but he's going to join Palu in watching on that main door. Destiny has a chance at trying to push on up, but whether the information is going to be current enough for it to matter. Nesk will, in fact, fall as SDK is able to push on through on the Yana and back that drone up with a nice frag. Palu has since snuck his way all the way upstairs and kind of bravely going to be challenging onto that roof. Fortunately, nobody is going to be there, as it's always a difficult angle to try and challenge onto as a defender. Santos moving fairly slowly. They have lost a pretty key piece of the puzzle. They have lost the hard breach, so whatever the plan was for the Hibana, we're not going to get to see it.
U-Jammer's about to be the biggest thorn in Santos' side right now. As you mentioned, the Yana getting taken out off the board. But Destiny can find an answer on a Sexy Cake at the very least. Problem is there's still plenty of area denial that can be used from PSK on all 3 smokes, and 2 players dead on Liquid is a nice boost, but that was a lot of time wasted from Nesk on the roam downstairs, so it'll be how Santos decides to respond. First Toxic Babe is utilized, but it will not force anybody back away from the bomb site. It seems as though Santos, they're only pressuring from 2 different sides. If they can push up Cool Vibes and to Hookah, they're not doing anything on Aqua at all. They still have man count advantage, but it's still going to come down to how they execute. They may not have enough time to if PSK keeps using those smokes effectively.
Liquid really not looking to move too heavily onto this, and Santos, they don't have the fortune of time to just sit and watch angles. Need to try and make something happen here. Palu is going to be flashed there at the top of Cool Vibes, but unable to push due to the smoke that comes out from PSK. Destiny is likely going to try and make a bit of a swing here, but he's going to be met by Palu pretty much straight away. Moringa, he opens things up with a kill over onto Rise. PSK a second. Moringa down, so technically a 1 versus 1, but Hunter, question mark, still outside on Tarp's rappel, like only getting himself in right at the dying second. What's going on?
There was drone work in round 1, even after the rush failed from Santos. There wasn't drone work in the second round, which is a little curious. Obviously, Liquid employing the use of the mute, there was a lot of it, like especially surrounding where Paul Lu was positioned on cool vibes, right at the very entrance to the bomb site. But the problem is, Santos just kind of stalled out there for a solid 50 seconds almost. I'm not trying to push towards the site itself, or the diffuser was on cool vibes. It wasn't in the hands of somebody maybe attempting a hookah plant. I question how Santos wanted to approach the site in the first place, understanding where the members of Team Liquid seemed as though they were positioned. If nothing else, it seemed like they had all the time in the world to make a push with, and they had man count advantage, yet they squander it looking to push to hookah, and I felt like diffuser simply wasn't in the hands of the correct player in that instance. So Liquid almost kind of got away with highway robbery there.
Well, I think Liquid just got away with standing still and being patient, and it was, you know, I guess Santos to a degree were being patient, but they weren't in a position to be doing so. They needed to be moving. You know, we always talk about the sixth man for these defenders, and it is the clock. It's going to work in your favor as a defender, and as an attacker, it is almost like a hand on your back pushing you along through the round. You really can't be caught out by it, otherwise things like that happen. And you know, essentially that was a 1 versus 1. Hunter, if he'd have pushed on through, maybe gets himself into the gunfight, really could have ended quite differently there, but alas, we will never know. Another successful defensive round means another site here from Liquid. They're going to be going down toward the kitchen site. Santos need to kind of come up with a little bit of that same energy that we saw inside of round number 1 and just temper it a little bit more. We don't necessarily want the rush straight away, but we need that coordination and that teamwork. At least 3 players all sort of pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, 2 rounds already, it seems like Team Liquid are the ones to set the pace. Santos have been really, really quick in the early to mid round, but then late round is where they're not really finding the same kind of footing, whether it be the rush or the amount of time it took to clear out that first roamer. It was going really well, and it's already starting well now. Nesk on the roam, dead yet again for the first member of Team Liquid to be removed from the field. And Santos, can they capitalize off this advantage they're already looking to? That's Paul Lu down. So that double fragger combo that was a menace at the 6th Invitational, both members now fallen by the wayside, and it'll come down to Santos using the rest of this time effectively and correcting for their mistakes in the first 2 rounds.
A couple of heavy hits has gone there on the side of Team Liquid, but they've still got a couple left. Still, this is where you really want to see Santos try and capitalize on the advantage that they have. Moringa, he doesn't look too worried at the moment. He's still going to be out there on the roam. Sexy Cake upstairs as well, looking to challenge onto VIP, but he will get sat down as Destiny is able to hit his shots. PSK in the site, currently the sole survivor inside of that site, as we do still have Moringa in security. Again, Santos moving relatively slowly, considering this advantage that they currently have. They obviously don't want to take any chances with this one, but there's still something that needs to be done here. There's still a job to finish, and when you're 5 versus 2, you'd hope that you'd be able to get a couple of trades off. 1 versus 1 going down inside of the Sunrise. Moringa feels maybe not the angle to challenge just at the moment, and he's going to dip himself back out. PSK still holding down onto the site. Still 2 Toxic Babe canisters left, and with the way that the time's ticking down, there's a little bit of chance here that PSK might be able to hold off. Now, will he be able to hold off against the whole side? Only time will tell. He eventually will be peaked as the pinch comes in from Santos, and now Moringa, well, it was only ever really going to end one way from that point onward. The plant was going down. Rise with the last 2 kills.
Santos taking way better advantage of the fact that they had man count early. 5 versus 4 right off the rip within the first 30 seconds, it seemed like, as Nesk was down inside Sunrise and immediately finished off. And then another one as both roamers from Team Liquid didn't have any support from whether it be a teammate or utility next to them. It meant that Santos could pick off a couple of very easy 1v1s, and suddenly it's a 5 versus 3, and the rest is kind of history. That's a flawless round for Santos to cap off their very first win so far against Liquid. And honestly, kind of like we mentioned in the pregame, that's a nice thing to see already for Santos. That is a good minor victory that you can take like to the bank, so to speak. Team Liquid are going to be a team that's very aggressive with the way that they play roams because they're that confident in their gun skill, especially for the two that got down in Nesk and Palu in that round. So they didn't opt to have anyone else supporting them or two players playing like the same roam in the same area, and Santos could pick them off pretty darn easily. That's just a nice amount of drone work, and even though they were a little bit slower on their approach toward the bomb site and finally attempting to get the diffuser down, it was nice that Santos still understood what the pace was like. Taking out a couple of those really potent fraggers on Team Liquid simply meant the rest of the site was theirs for the taking, and they worked off that advantage very well.
Question is, can they do it again? They have got another opportunity. Now they're going to be attacking into Blue Bar. This is the site we saw in round number 1 where Santos went for a very quick attempted plant in the default spot, but it didn't work out too well for them. They were very quickly left in a 4 versus 2, and it didn't end too well from there, as you would kind of expect. This time, no quick plant has been attempted. But maybe that previous round is going to give them a little bit more confidence to play the longer game and just try and pick off these roamers, because with their advantage previously, they were able to get nice grip and nice pinches off onto the couple of remaining players on the side of Liquid. Something they look to do again. We've seen a repel into the security. It's not all too common that you do see that, but PSK is going to be aware and look to try and challenge onto the angle. He's also seeing a bit of pressure, though, from the office double door, so very quickly could be peaked twice here. Destiny gets a glimpse. STK, though, finds himself too, as he's made some great success pushing on in. PSK will find the trade. Still, advantage Santos.
Anybody from the Team Liquid operator lineup, with the exception of, I suppose, Moringa, somebody who you absolutely could see being so far away from the bomb site and trying to force pressure on a roam. But the fact that Moringa has been removed from the field now is a little problematic for Liquid, because that's your primary area denial, and you don't want to lose your smoke as one of those first 2 kills. So it'll come down to how Liquid get aggressive for Santos' overall approach. Nesk still holding down this position in Sunrise where he was from the previous round, but he has been effectively droned out now by the Yana Gemini, despite removing it from the field. Now the push will come in from Mud. He gets away, ooh, very closely to where those players from Mud were attempting to force pressure on him, but he will retreat back to jungle. Still isn't going to matter, though, as Collins has forced the issue into Sunrise. The crosses are still coming from Mud. Nesk gets removed now. It'll come down to PSK, who's already on very low HP, and Palu to force the issue a little bit here. Palu gets 1. Nope. Oh, very nearly. Almost has 1. It'll still be STK. A triple kill so far. Can he make it 4? STK comes right back in. Takes down 1. Not a bad approach, but it will still be STK. That's not 4. That's all 5 on the Yana. STK going big, and already we're tied at 2-2.
STK's been a little bit of a problem in recent weeks. He's slowly but surely climbing himself up the leaderboard in terms of frags. He stepped up in a big way there for his team and been enabled very nicely to just slowly but surely pick apart Liquid. The big round there for Santos is going to do a lot for the confidence. Again, another plant that was attempted. And I think maybe this time, Jacob, you've kind of got to ask questions of the way that Liquid looked to play that. You know, we saw Nesk kind of giving up control of the site. You know, he did have the ability to play behind the bar for a little bit of time and maybe, just maybe, you know, get himself a couple of kills as the push came in and as the plant was attempted. He was on the Malusi rocking the impacts, not the C4, so that may be in part due to the reason for the rotate and that he didn't have any direct denial, but still giving up control of the site and just letting the plant go down there was a little bit of a strange decision.
I think in a case like that, you probably can force a team like Santos or lull them into a false sense of security, more or less. But it does speak to how Liquid are playing very, very away from bomb sites so far. They're in positions where if they get picked off, there's nobody back in positions for trades, which is just, it's a big fundamental part of the way that Siege is played overall. But you do have reason to believe that guys on Team Liquid will be more confident in them winning gunfights if they're playing way back, like off the bomb site, and they wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for a reason. So we'll see if that exact kind of loose gameplay is something that they want to duplicate here. Santos seem like they've taken every single round so far from the same side. They've always droned in and pushed from security side, unless it was that fast push onto Mudroom that we saw in round 1. That might be something Team Liquid can exploit if they're paying enough attention to it, but they're always making the same push from one side of the map across, no matter what the site is. And Santos, for their own part, are trying to, if they move a little bit faster here, which it seems as though Destiny and SDK are both trying to do somewhat, they may have a bit of a different response. But again, 2 kills already. That's another round where we see it go. 2 kills off the board for Liquid, and Santos find themselves in yet another early advantage.
Probably this time in a position to respond. Nesk having a little bit of a stinker at this point. 1 on 5 for a player that we know to be so capable. It's surely got to get frustrating at some point when you're really just struggling in every single engagement. Still an advantage here for Santos, something that they've worked quite well with previously, albeit if it has still taken them a little bit of time to get the job done. They move very carefully, even with an advantage, and they don't really want to give anything up, and I think that maybe is a bit of a respect thing that they give into the side of Liquid. You know, you really can't be giving these players any sort of an opportunity. There's going to be some pressure coming in now up these cool vibe stairs. Moringa playing it close with the shotgun this time. It previously was Palu on the Jaeger, but that shotgun is going to be pretty devastating. SDK trying to gather a little bit of intel on the Gemini. He isn't too much health, so can't really be affording to get himself into those engagements. Still 3 nades left on the side of Santos.
Pushing from VIP might be a bit more of a problem than they're anticipating dealing with. The advantage of the new Melusi change is you're now able to shoot the Banshees out. One of the things I wish had come to the game 3 months sooner, but we finally got it only a couple of weeks ago, so it's going to be taken advantage of here. PSK still holding firm with the Toxic Babes. He's going to use 2 in very quick succession, watching both a big window and an aqua push. Not the same way that Liquid were pushing this from the last time. Rise will be removed by Palu as he makes his way back in. PSK not aware that there's one coming right back inside, but he will still find 2 big ones. One with the Toxic Babe. Diffuser's been down. It all falls to SDK on so little HP. If he walks back through that smoke canister, he's not going to have enough health to even get the Diffuser back. It'll all come down to, can he determine where these last 2 players from Liquid are situated? They're both over on his left, but he genuinely doesn't have any idea. He'll come through the rotate. Moringa will be the one to finish things off. And it seems as though Liquid, at least for that round, are stopping the bleeding a little bit.
Still an opening advantage going in Santos' favor, but this time them not being able to convert it into a round win. Liquid digging deep and being able to pick up that upstairs site. It's a site that they've not really struggled with too much just yet, and I think that's kind of in part due to the fact that Santos do tend to struggle when they've got to try and operate separately, and you know, when you're looking to try and pressure in from Aqua, when you're looking to try and pressure in from, you know, Hookah Balcony and elsewhere, it can get a little bit confusing, and sometimes we just don't see that same level of coordination from Santos. But alas, last round of current sides. Going to see Liquid go downstairs into kitchen now. This is something where they really weren't successful. This was the flawless round from round number 3. Santos getting that nice and early advantage. I think it was a double nade kill, or a nade kill and something from STK that was really enabling them to get themselves on in very quickly here. So certainly something to watch out for. But Liquid still not really deterred. They're happy to continue to play this roam game. They're happy to sort of take these 1 versus 1s and just see what happens. It hasn't been something that they've looked to try and adapt too much against.
Seems as though most of what Liquid's trying to do for first floor bomb sites is stick primarily to that first floor. I think last time they were on kitchen, they did have ADSs and utility put inside a Sunrise bar, anticipating a push like from Mud back through Sunrise and hoping to push onto the kitchen single door from that way. There was also more of a roam towards security in the event Santos push from that side, which they still have consistently pushed south to north in that way. But it doesn't really seem as though they're playing much in the vertical sense, which is very easily one of the fastest and most effective ways to defend against kitchen. But it seems as though most of Liquid are preparing to make a quick push back towards the bomb site in the event that Santos perhaps go in for a fast rush. There's only 1 member of Liquid upstairs. That's Palu, so he'll still have a 2-speed, which enables him to get back to the bomb site quickly in the event of a Santos execute, but everyone from TL will remain on the first floor for the time being.
And if you could only pick 1 roamer to have you're not making a bad choice if that roamer is Palu's. Looks like he's aware that somebody is going to be outside, but I doubt he's going to be going for any extravagant run out. Maybe just a C4. It is going to net the kill, actually, as well. I wasn't even sure if he'd thrown that. I didn't actually get to hear it, and I guess STK didn't either. Destiny is hot on Palu's heels, though. Hunter also upstairs, watching the hatch inside of Penthouse. Maybe has a chance at an angle. Rise as well. Everybody really on the side of Santos now, trying to locate Palu and punish him for his crimes, but what a way to open things up. Nice little nitro cell over onto STK. You can never pick who you get, but take out the top frag on the side of Santos. It's got to hurt them.
Hunter can finally go to work now, but the problem is he didn't kill Palu. Palu decided to go right back downstairs, and a flank could come up at any moment. So even if he can play vertically, the problem becomes, is there somebody upstairs watching him to make sure he doesn't die while he removes all of these right angles and corners that Team Liquid could be hiding out in for these next couple of seconds. Destiny is going to come off white finally. He may also be able to assist with opening up some of those holes in the rest of the vertical game. He will retain both of those concussion grenades in the lifeline launcher, may be able to use those for some utility burn, but it does seem as though Santos finally are making a little bit of an execute. They're trying to set up for something. Nesk, he's now gone back upstairs. Paula has opted to retreat and watch for a flank route, but Nesk could play a spoiler. If Hunter's still upstairs looking for an opportunity to force some vertical pressure, he could be the difference maker in this round.
Classic bait and switch there, isn't it? Where you see Palu come downstairs, but Nesk has already made his way back up. Still, kills coming down on the side. As Santos now in a position to drop. Hunter is able to shut down PSK there with a great long angle and pick the second over onto Nesk. Palu there with everything to do. He found the first, and he found a couple more toward the end, picking up those last 2 kills. Very importantly, again, Santos running out of time there, and really being forced to just desperately push through Bathroom. It's going to give Liquid an advantage after that first half.
So far, it seems like Liquid saw through everything Santos were bringing through their first 2 victories and decided to apply it in a much different way. They not so much relinquished top floor control, but did seem like they allowed Santos to just kind of take it for free without a lot of congestion. A potent fragger like STK, though, off that nitro cell rip that we saw on white is a really, really big deal, because not only was he creating a lot of impact simply by existing in the lobby, but it also seemed as though Liquid, for their own part, were getting a little bit lax on ensuring that those players going for entry kills were removed from the field first. In that case, the fact that STK is gone, then giving them vertical control, even though they can't do anything with it, Team Liquid were positioned appropriately to not be directly under those holes that Santos was opening. It all culminated with Palu nabbing 3 kills on his way out. Even if Santos made it close, it still ended with 2 players being funneled in through the same doorway. There was nothing that they could do with so little time on the clock.
Now really starts the scary time, I believe, for Santos. You've got to try and deal with Liquid on the attack. Team that are known for their ability to coordinate, their ability to get that plant down. The entry kills have actually been going in Santos's favor, and I think that is kind of expected on a map like Coastline. You would expect the attackers to have opportunities, as Jacob, you so eloquently put it. Was it like a death donut or something?
Yeah.
Donut of death. This map is known to be the roof. Such a hotly contested area, SDK. Oh, you love and hate to see it at the same time. C4 for C4. SDK there taking out Palu as he was looking to open up that bathroom hatch.
By the Palu's the first one off the board too. It's almost like the STK being removed from Santos. That's your top fragger now gone. And Nest so far has been pretty ineffectual in this game, looking to open things up more on the attacking side as he switches over to Zofia. But PSK will be the next one to fall. STK is still working all over the map to ensure that these angles are not held successfully by Liquid, but he will be shut down. STK taking all the way until round 7 to find his first kill. Welcome to the scoreboard, my friend. We'll fall back on the drone work now as Team Liquid try to ascertain as much intel as they possibly can. There is only one roamer downstairs that they'll have to worry about, but I will think that that should be one of Team Liquid's priorities now at this stage. They're already on the top floor, but that rotate can come in and spell death very quickly, unless Liquid can nullify it. At the very least, you still got a Thatcher and a Hibana remaining, so any of those reinforced walls should not stand up against you if that's how Team Liquid want to open up these angles.
Net's looking to gather a little bit of information as to what the site setup exactly looks like. Gig 2 going to start to push his way through into Aquarium. Now, there is still going to be a Nitro Cell in the hands of Santos, and Destiny's going to look to try and play that from below. It could be a little bit of a problem later on. Still, information being gathered here. Drone work is something that we often see Net Liquid kills very similarly to the way they were actually able to shut down SDK. Then Ness gets a great angle there through the drone hole inside of VIP, the little library section. Taking down Hunter now. I don't think that the wall is going to be opened initially. It's likely going to need an EMP onto it for that to happen, and Moringa maybe just getting himself into a position to do so. But a bearing 9 swing here from Sexy Cake immediately caught inside of the Banshee and a pre-play C4. Destiny! He's going to come up with the final 3 kills there. I love that pre-play C4 and the Banshee.
Wow. 3 of them all from the same spot as Liquid attempted to force the issue from 90. They came VIP side. Only one player pushing Aqua. It seemed like Liquid may have had a chance to swing things back, especially when, like you mentioned, he whips the bearing 9 out. Maybe he has an idea of where a player is situated, but can't ultimately get a frag before he's taken out of the fray. And now what we're looking like is, Aldi, what are we facing right now?
So a little bit of news. We've experienced a little bit of lag on the stream. We do apologize for that. What we're going to do is we're going to cut you to a gameplay only version. So me and Jacob, we are going to keep Stum for the time being. As soon as it's fixed, we're going to get back. But for the meantime, just sit back, relax, and watch Liquid versus Santos. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for bearing with us. Hopefully everything is sorted back to normal and we can continue to bring you our thoughts on this game. Team Liquid versus Santos. Jacob, we've been watching those last couple of rounds there, just having a chat in the call, and it seems as though Liquid have really turned on the gas.
So far, it seems like it. I think Liquid did a much better job through the first round. We saw in round number 8 when we weren't able to talk because of production. They did a much better job of isolating roamers in some 1v1 scenarios. It turned very nearly into a flawless, but it still turned into Liquid being able to close the round out just based off of hunting members of Santos down as fast and as frantically as they could. They got kills in the early round. Santos couldn't respond when their roamers eventually started to come back to the bomb site. In the previous round, it was almost the inverse. It seemed like Santos were trying to take some of the aggression back to Liquid, and it turned into a scenario where Liquid didn't really have a counterattack because they were losing players one after the other, and it left poor Sexy in a 1vx from which he could not recover from. So I think Santos, they're going toe for toe, or blow for blow is what I'm looking for. Toe for toe?
They're standing toe to toe, and they're going
toe
blow to
to
blow.
toe. Toe to toe. It's a toe for toe. It's like you cut off my toe, I cut off yours. Like
I'm all right for that. It's not my.
I'm just getting the saying wrong. It's not the American way of doing things either. That's just plain messed up.
Is Rise going to see anything on that Pete? We can see the answer likely going to be no. Santos trying to keep Liquid off a match point here. So far, Liquid are looking like they're going to... I believe that Liquid have maybe found this a little bit more tough than they potentially anticipated, and it's maybe a question we get to pose later on when the game's finished, depending on who we get from either team, but it has felt as though Santos have really stood up. I'm particularly thinking about STK there. He's currently sitting double positive inside of the lobby. The player with the highest amount of kills tied with Palu, so you just get the impression that if he has a good couple of rounds, Santos could still be in this.
Palu, the second overall highest rated player so far for Team Liquid in Stage 2. Problem is, Nesk has been somebody who hasn't quite shown up, and I do think that plays an impact. It's almost a case of BDS not being able to play effectively without Shaiko, almost. Like, a very notable, pivotal part of your team, especially from a fragging point of view, that keeps getting nullified quicker than expected, but PSK will be the one off the rip. Santos have been doing an excellent job in collecting opening kills, even if their translation into round wins isn't as phenomenal. They're still controlling the flow of the round by themselves as a result of getting that opening pick, and it just seems like it's a landslide over and over again. Paula does have an answer, but still, Team Liquid find themselves down yet another man in this game.
Palu bringing the aggression and the heat there, hot dropping into the hatch. He's going to get himself straight into main lobby as well. We can see that the defender has just dipped a little bit further those wide stairs. Destiny trying to keep a hold here inside of office. He does deal a bit of damage in onto Sexy Cake. He's going to be able to avoid the flash, but he gets peeked at the same time. It could be a little bit problematic. Liquid don't want to take this as 1v1s. Destiny going to land a huge amount of damage onto Moringa. Shut him down, but not before he is traded out as well. Rise also to fall. Moringa in a position to be revived here. Still only a 2 versus 2. Floor shots now coming out from SDK as he's trying to chunk down the players. Moringa can't seem to get himself out of dodge right now. He's continually receiving damage. Is the diffuser holder as well, but the site being upstairs in Hookah and Billiards, one of the easiest ones to try and advance on into. STK, it's a freebie for him. Cons finds the final one onto Palu. STK and Cons standing tall there, each individually winning those 1v1s. So much so they've tied it up here.
Last two remaining players for Liquid were still close to one another, and then they decide to split with only 20 seconds remaining. I would argue to play, ultimately, in the 2v2. If you stick both players together and maybe both of them can make a pushback up Cool Vibe stairs, you still have utility that can clear with either the shield or the ADS that's right there. We already saw Thatcher throw one of the EMPs at the base of the stairs trying to clear anything that might still have been up at the top of the floor. But then Palu goes outside. He pushes from Hookah stairs, and it's 2 different 1v1s. Santos can then split their attention. It might have been a case where if they had both pushed up Cool Vibes, they might have been able to kill the player who was sitting base off of the trade, then turn it into a 1v1, and then it's just simply a matter of can they find the last player, who in this case was the other SMG11 player, waiting for Palu to come back inside of Hookah, which is where the round ended. So I'd say the decision-making in the last 2v2 is probably the bigger deal. Team Liquid did a good job of recovering from losing 2 players right off the rip, but ultimately simply couldn't close the round out. And now, it's going to take the full 12, Ollie. I definitely didn't think that Santos would be in a position to force OT, but that hypothetical I mentioned before this match even started may very well happen now.
Quite possibly. It's going to be a little bit scary if you are Team Liquid and you're coming into this as a fixture that you're very much expected to win. coming up against a side that are making it easy at all. And outside is Santos right now. Overtime well and truly on the cards. The winner of this will be the first team that has the opportunity of a match point, but with the way the rounds have been going, relatively backward and forward, it is by no means a clear-cut thing. Moringa maybe now going to start to try and bring out a little bit more of that coordination, stop taking so many of those 1 versus 1s and rely a little bit more heavily on the trade, because the opening engagement really is where Liquid have been suffering. Now, sometimes it's not been something they've been able to do all too much about. You know, if they're going up against a C4 on a hatch, for example, or a little spawn peak, they're just things that do happen. But when you're really trying to circle out and zone in on a roamer, you need to be trying to do that together.
Ness does at least have drones taking him all the way through security into the hallway, so closer to the main door. We'll have Destiny to contend with at the top of White Stairs if that's the push that he wants to make, but Moringa can play from down below if he chooses. I'm curious if he wants to play bottom up with the Buck. He's chosen it for a reason, but it might be that they want to force pressure from Sunrise, and once that's taken control for Team Liquid, then they may have an opportunity to push, but it doesn't seem as though that's where we're headed. And one thing I don't know if I touched on it. We're on Penthouse, which I won't call off meta so much these days, because we are seeing more teams like try to play it more into their defending repertoire, but it may be a case where Team Liquid can simply overwhelm, because there's a very good reason you don't play on Penthouse. There simply aren't a lot of places to retreat back to, and the roam will matter a lot. STK, though, off the rip, the Echo deleted already. The additional intel that he might have been able to garner is no longer something that they can use aside from just the basic cams themselves. We are seeing Moringa play bottom up a little bit, but it will still come down to how much pressure Santos can put on Liquid as they make their execute within the final minute.
Ness looking to push his way into Hall of Fame now. I'm not sure if he's aware of the player in the bathroom. Be a little bit of a problem for him. Palu getting himself onto that main window repel. Another reason why this site is such a nightmare. A powerful position to try and keep a hold of Moringa. He's able to apply pressure vertically. Palu will get sat down as he tries to get himself on in. Rise popping up out of nowhere. Still 60k doesn't know there's going to be a player in the bathroom. Comms, look at this trigger discipline. Takes his time, lands his shots. Ness, he hits him with the turn and burn. It's now all down to Destiny. Destiny desperately trying to fight his way on through. The plant is going to be going down. Moringa trying to keep him off it. Moringa will do just exactly that. Covering his teammate there. Pre-fires as much as you like. It doesn't look pretty, but you've got to get the job done. Liquid, they put themselves onto match point.
You wouldn't think somebody would be sitting in bathroom. Like, you just don't sit there, because usually...
as well.
Completely reinforced off. It seems like a death box, because there's very typically an attacker who will blow the hatch open and clear it real quick. Like, if it's with a drone or just by glancing down from the hatch into bathroom, you wouldn't think that there's anyone there. It's the last thing the Team Liquid expect, but they don't blow the hatch. Like, he's able to sit inside bathroom the entirety of that round and very nearly stalls. And in the entire attacking strategy, he almost got 2 kills off of just sitting on that one spot. So it's not the end of the world. Liquid managed to win it, but it's still like, put one player upstairs, do a basic clear, ensure that there's nobody in bathroom, and you don't have this problem. It's just a very minor oversight, I think, from Team Liquid. They had all of their attackers doing some sort of job. They just didn't blow the hatch. All it takes is the hatch even being destroyed to force the player back out of it. You don't have to have somebody watch it, but they didn't complete that step. Still won the round. It was just way closer than it should have been.
I think Palu's maybe a little bit scared and apprehensive of that hatch, seeing as STK was able to take him out with the pre-placed C4. It's got to be something that's always in the back of your mind now, and maybe Palu just didn't want to take the chance.
Mental's shocked after one drop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess at least we're not going to see Penthouse and Theatre again here as the side choice. Santos are going to take us downstairs into kitchen. Liquid, this is their opportunity to take the full 3 points here. It's conversation we've been having quite a bit in terms of where the teams are in the standings and what 3 points would mean, and this is a game that Liquid will have been expecting to get a full 3 points out of, and maybe try and give themselves the edge over NIP and Team FaZe, pending how their games go. But an opportunity for Liquid to put himself on 32 points, which sounds like a lot, and honestly is quite a lot as well. So, a big round, a round that's worth quite a lot.
It is also nice to mention that even with only 1 point acquired now for Liquid, they will vault themselves over NIP, if only temporarily, in BR6 for stage, or cumulatively for both stages 1 and 2. So right now, this is the first place Team Liquid looking for some more success, but Santos is about to force the issue himself and remove PSK from the fray. That's a very quick kill right off the bat. With still 2 minutes left to go, Team Liquid are going to have a lot more of this map to traverse through, and Rise is about to make things way more difficult. Even if he doesn't go through the rotates he just made in Theater Wall, it will still mean Liquid have to watch the angle to ensure that there's nobody there. Apollo, no! From Bathroom, this man can't stop getting killed from this position, but it's luckily only a down. He will still be able to help play vertically with the sledge once he's revived, and he is. Now Liquid are decisively on the back foot, and they'll have to rearrange a little bit more of their strategy to combat not having their primary roam clear operator on the field anymore.
That pulse on the side of Santos is doing bits there. It's Rise with the swing. He's got no business getting that kill, and still he sits Moringa down. That's the second kill he's found inside of this round. The information now that Hunter is able to gather, coupled with a C4 left in the hands of Destiny, all of that should really be enough for Santos to get this one over the line. Just an upside down repel being held here. Hunter, he doesn't even need the heartbeat scanner for that one. He can definitely hear the player out there on repel. Time running a little bit short. We can hear upstairs being opened. No use opening those angles if there's no defenders that are going to be pushing on through. Surely not again. Not for the second time. We are going to see Sexy Cake fall. The plant will be reattempted now. Nesk trying to get it down, but he's in a bit of an unfavorable situation. Rise came in with a big kill onto Palu, and then the final one coming in from Cons. I mean, that round was just foreshadowed from the start. Rise with a huge couple of opening kills. You could even see a C4 lying onto Nesk's body there as well. There was really no chance for him.
Yeah, Rise, absolutely the difference maker. It didn't just come from the initial opening frag when he busts right through Lambo door and takes a player off repel. It's just the pure amount of time that he wasted, even in spite of the kills that he was getting. Both of them did come from when he was peeking out of main door for some reason, especially the second one as he looked left as opposed to right and caught a player by service. He, by himself, stalled out Liquid's attack strategy, also based on the utility that was nullified once those players were dead. It forces Liquid to adjust after the first team, or one player dies and they have to correct their attack strategy to compensate, and then they have to compensate again in quick succession and simply can't do it fast enough to stop Santos from steamrolling. Ultimately, it was only off one roamer that meant that we have to go to overtime now, because there were still 3 players on the bomb site ready to stop the attacking approach, and Hunter hiding behind the chair behind service desk. I don't even know if that's a chair that you can destroy. I believe you can, because most chairs have destructibility in Siege, but it's just hiding perfectly in a spot that you don't anticipate someone sitting. That's the second round in a row, like you mentioned, where a Santos defender has said, yeah, I'm gonna hold this, and no one from Liquid thinks to check it.
You just gotta question the info gathering there on the side of Liquid as well, because that's something that they're really known for, and it's kind of hurting me to see it happen, because I've spoken at length about how they're a really good team at executing and getting the plant down, and we've seen a couple of times there where they've not been going in blind, but it's looked like a desperate attempt at salvaging around when really it didn't need to be. So Liquid have certainly put a lot of pressure onto themselves here. They're going to start this overtime on the attack. Prospect of Santos coming away with a win here is pretty unbelievable. It is top versus bottom for all intents and purposes inside of the standings, and the fact that Santos have guaranteed themselves a point is massive enough.
Majority of rounds being won on defense is also pretty telling. Santos now can be a little comfortable in their overtime side selection, because it's been 4-2 in terms of defensive wins for both teams, and now it turns into Santos having 2 in overtime should we require all 15. So it'll be down to the minutia of every round, the small mistakes that either team makes that the other one is capable of capitalizing on. PSK is trying to bait, it seems, on Zero to see if someone wants to come back out through the door, but it doesn't seem as though Rise is going to fall for said bait, at least for right now. But Liquid have done a pretty fast job of clearing through most of the top floor. They've already got VIP and the rest of theater control. There won't be a player there to worry about for right now. They do have plenty of players on drones, as both Nesk and Palu will work their way through. Palu, by the way, on 15 frags, need to keep that momentum going if they want to best Santos and ensure that we don't end up going to around 15.
Plenty of information available here for Liquid. Okay, going to be moving through, just waiting for the drones to back him up. Still, the flanks aren't certain. Nomad ban has really affected this game in quite a big way, and seen a lot of rounds won on the defense. Not just because of the Nomad ban, but it is always something that adds on into things. We know that the flank isn't entirely safe. Throws a little bit of doubt into question. Something that is nice to be dealing with if you're constantly worried about being snuck up on from behind. Liquid again going to be going for this approach down outside of VIP, hitting that long corridor and trying to cut across a bit of an angle into the sides. Nesk is given a chance briefly. Unfortunately, won't be able to capitalize. And it's nice this being a line of attack now. Previously, there was too much potential for bullet holes inside of that hook-up wall for you to really consider this, but now that bullet holes aren't a thing, you can actually look to try and approach on through. The C4 from below has been dealt with this time. Sexy Cake is going to look to try and get that plan down. Paolu's been downed in the process, but it isn't going to matter. For the first time in a long time, we've seen a plant come through. The bad thing is, PSK is the only player left up. He has to try and deal with this, and already Destiny is on the defuse. Rise, he's going to pick up the final frag. Plenty of time to disable that diffuser. Santos read that perfectly.
That round was in such stark contrast to where we were to start this game off. Remember round one? You know, at this point, practically an hour ago, where we saw Santos making a bum rush inside Sunrise and trying to get the plant down as fast as possible. Every other round since then, we probably saw one kill happen before the 2-minute mark, at the very least. In that round, no kills came until 15 seconds remained in the round. 15! Not a single player on either team had any, or sorry, a little bit of an HP trade, I suppose. But there were no kills. Liquid took forever to figure out if they liked their Aqua approach. And once they did, they had the correct idea. They nullified the C4, ensured that it couldn't blow up from below. They had someone downstairs working on the roam clear, even if it was ultimately ineffectual. But it still took Liquid forever to finally get to where they wanted to go. And now Santos have got a lead for the first time in this game, and all it takes is one successful hookah attack, and they net themselves 2 points against Team Liquid, the current #1 team in Brazil. What a statement that would be.
Well, it's not only the broadcast talent that have changed for today, this broadcast to BR6, also the expected results have been flipped around
Geo
as well.
leaves and the entire world goes to shit. What happened?
Honestly, the broadcast just starts to fall apart. Geo, we need you back.
My fault. I take responsibility for this.
I mean, I'm sure that Santos are fine. I think as soon as Santos realised that that's the reason, we're probably never going to see Geo on the show again if they had their own way. But Liquid maybe have something to say about that. Jokes aside, it really is a little bit of a strange world that we live in when this is what we are faced with as a potential here for Santos to take 2 points against Liquid. It's not a full 3, but that isn't even going to matter at the moment. These guys are playing for something that's arguably a little bit more important than points, and that's kind of bragging rights. You know, we do see the big teams occasionally getting upset, and Liquid are no stranger to that. Typically over the course of a stage, they will have the odd hiccup. Everybody is, of course, human, but it's how they often bounce back. This looks like it could be one of their hiccup days, which is kind of funny for all that we build it as, but here's a player that has had a huge impact so far. STK looking to make his entry. Nesk is going to find the first frag over onto Destiny, but there he is. STK shutting down Palu. That big kill lead that we've been speaking of quite regularly. The dangerous thing here for Santos is this could be a Nesk round, saying that, and STK in there with the direct trade. An equal 3 versus 3, seriously. This is still doable for Santos.
Takes a lot of HP off of STK at least, so it's not a complete loss for Nesk. But those 2 kills are not going to be the only thing to worry about, as Santos have proven that every player on this team, especially with both of their top fraggers and Rise and STK remaining, it absolutely can still turn this back in Santos' favor. Problem is, it seems as though Liquid are doing a pretty good job of stalling now at this point. With only 1 minute and 10 seconds to go, it's going to come down to breaking through what has been a pretty staunch hookah defense so far for Team Liquid. They've not put many resources towards anything other than the bomb site. It'll be up to Santos to understand exactly how much map control they can take and what side they want to push from, because right now it still seems like their attack strategy is a little bit ambiguous. Cons is the one with the diffuser and may end up just being a straight hookah take. Once those Rotero drones clear some more of the utility out, they will have some more space to operate with. But now the time is still going to be a massive factor for Santos.
STK trying to make something happen here as he throws a nade and looks to push on through fairly aggressively. He's going to take this engagement with Moringa. You've got to give the advantage to Moringa, but only if he's looking in the right location. Moringa does get chunked down, but he will win the engagement regardless. The kills do continue to flood. Rise left in the 1 versus 2. He's got 15 seconds left to make this happen. A deployable shield. It was never going to be an easy prospect to come up against. The pressure potentially getting to Santos there was Liquid. They take us all the way. We're going every round available here, Jacob.
Liquid and Hookah, name a better defensive strategy. Something that Santos were only able to read through once, and even then not very well. And it's another case of, on attack, both teams seem a little tentative or a little hesitant to take some of these fights, or whether it be droning or forcing utility back away. It's definitely an off day for Liquid. Like, score notwithstanding, they're not really playing up to the same standard I think we expected them to. But Santos, in spite of that, are punishing Team Liquid for when they're taking things incredibly slowly. And it's been cases where rounds have been landslides in one way or the other. A lot of untraded rounds back and forth where it seems like if one team is getting an opening kill, there should be an instant trade. There's not. It's sometimes a 2-man advantage for one of these teams either way. So now we sit on round 15, and I'm asking, what's going to be the thing to break the trend? We're sitting at a point where Liquid could very well lose this game sheerly by being the attacking team because of how dominant defensive rounds have been for both squads. Now, Santos going back to Kitchen, they have found success here, even if a lot of it did come from some misdirection up top, Rise playing like a monkey, and Hunter sitting back behind service desk and simply not being spotted. So Liquid will need to do their due diligence, bust some wonderful IGL work out here, and just escape with a win, because at this point, escaping is kind of all you can do.
Yeah, Liquid don't really get out of this one alive, regardless of the result. It's certainly going to be one that, I don't want to use the word haunts them, but they're going to feel like it was potentially a bit of a missed opportunity. And I mean, Santos on the flip side have played exceptionally well to get here to this point. 31 frags between STK and Rise. I know that Rise was a player that I highlighted in the pregame as a player that often is found a little bit outside of the action, but maybe the Nomad ban in removing his main operator has kind of assisted him a little bit in that flexibility. We've seen him play a lot of Ash on the attack. His defense hasn't changed all too much, but still it's been a change, and maybe a welcome one, because Santos have really been contending in these opening engagements, and I think that's potentially part of it. We could have a bit of a task to do now, though. We haven't seen them come out with a typically Liquid attack, in that everything is sort of a box that is checked prior to that plank going down yet. So maybe this is the round. Maybe they're going to save it all the way to the end.
Might as well bust it out now when you know that there's only one round that stands between you and victory. Not the first time that Liquid have sat on match point, but Santos have been sitting on match point for the past 2 rounds, so it's still putting a little bit of invisible pressure on Liquid to reverse their fortune, so to speak. Palu upstairs wants the rotate from someone on Aqua. He might sit here for the whole round, but finally an opening frag is going in Liquid's favor. It's just a matter of turning that into a victory. Their translation on opening kills, 2-round wins is still relatively okay, but it's not as high as what we've seen from Santos in this game. Seems as though the rest of Santos are content to just hold where they are. They are on roams, but they probably won't be moving from those spots. Hunter, that's a pretty convenient hole, all things considered. That's pretty discreet. If someone vaults in through Kitchen, that might be a free frag, and he's just kind of calling out and waiting for someone to come in, but it doesn't look as though they will. It is a Kitchen defense, so Liquid should still be looking to clear out VIP. and using that vertical control against Santos would be the way to go. But under a minute already, still Destiny and Hunter upstairs. Liquid might force the issue to the site itself rather than worrying about this vertical control unless they move quickly.
Liquid really have quite a lot still left to do here. Destiny now going to start to get challenged, but it's only from the outside of Hall of Fame, so even then Palu not in a position to really challenge on, and if the drone work hasn't been sufficient and he doesn't know that there's a player in VIP as well, could very well get caught out here thirsting after one. He's going to be able to land some damage, but Destiny threads the eye of the needle. Finds the headshot over onto Palu. Ness comes in with a trade. Moringa looking to make access in upstairs as well. The diffuser going to be cold on the site as Sexy Cake now has found himself downed as well. PSK trying to rush on in. Not a lot of time left remaining. Still has to find these kills. Rise is holding it down from the site. Hunter and Destiny coming as well. Santos! They do it. They do what we thought was impossible. They are going to get the win here tonight against Team Liquid.
Liquid might have had some of the most asthmatic attacks I think I've ever seen. For some reason, they're not making quick approaches.